You're listening to a Meatsmith Harvest. This is the podcast that encourages and equips you to grow your home around the harvest. This Farmstead Meatsmith production is made possible by you. If you like it, please consider supporting our team by going to patreon.com/Meatsmith and donating at a level you'd enjoy giving at. Your gift helps us increase the quality and quantity of all our free media education. Thank you, and happy harvesting. Hello, Meatsmiths. Welcome. It has probably been a month or more since we've recorded. Sorry. Get situated. Settle in now.
We have these Winnebago butt hugging, like they're huge, extra large, but they're really comfy.
Once you get in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're from the 80s.
They're from Goodwill.
There you go.
Yeah.
The
but they
place
match.
where 80s is preserved in the museum.
It is so good to be back and recording, mainly just sitting next to you.
Yeah, it's nice to sit next to you too.
Yeah. We had our anniversary, if you can't tell. We're like little
We
lovebirds.
did on Flag Day.
That's right. June 14th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
11 years and 17 children. How many kids do we have?
We have six currently.
Right, 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Father's Day was yesterday, so we're in the thick of summer right now.
Yeah, I got to eat a steak.
Yes.
It was fun. Bought it from a new butcher shop on Vashon called the Ruby Brink, which, should you visit, you should check out. Run by our friends, and it's awesome. All she had was a boneless chuck, and I had her cut a big, thick steak off of the rib end, which was really good. It was so delicious. Barbecued it. I had like a handful of charcoal left at the house. And it was just enough to cook that thing rare. It was perfect. Excuse me. Low and slow in the Weber with a couple of patties for the kiddos. And then we all ate off of the chuck because it was huge. But let it not be said that you cannot rightly grill a chuck. You sure can. I don't know if anyone actually says that, but it's kind of from the tougher area. It's got tougher meat, but
the kids ate
no
it.
problem. Yeah, keep it rare. Don't be afraid of chewing the fat. That's what I say.
Yeah.
For the fat thereon is delicious.
Yeah. Just getting set up here with my notes. We're going to talk about something really interesting today.
Oh, good.
But before we get there, I guess I'll give you the topic. So, and for you, the members that are on Facebook right now, send us your questions on the History Channel's The Butcher. If you were able to see that, Brandon was on that show.
I was on that show.
He was on the debut.
I played the part of the loser. Loser. No, it was fun.
Yeah.
It's good.
Fun. We'll talk more about that word, whether or not we're...
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really good experience. And I don't think we've ever told anyone yet. So that was what we were insinuating at months and months ago.
Yeah.
Because you went it was either January or February. It was this big trip.
Yeah.
Down to LA.
Season 1, episode 1. They called us months ago and we couldn't tell anybody about anything until it aired. Like 3 weeks ago or something.
In May.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure where you can see it. If people wanted to watch it. Did we ever figure that out?
Yeah, if you...
Hulu,
Yeah,
maybe?
you have to look on some of those TV show networks.
Basically, it's hard to get for free.
We don't.
If possible, it might be impossible to get for free.
I think you could get it for a couple dollars.
One must pay.
Now.
Yeah.
And eventually it'll be on Amazon Prime like the other ones are. It's the same production company that did Forged in Fire and Top Shot and...
I don't know if it's...
Yeah, maybe just those two.
Yeah.
But big production and high...
Reality game show would be the format, I believe.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, the same announcer. What do you call him? Game show host?
MC, host? Yeah.
What do they call him now? Yeah, he was the host of the show.
Rustic dude with collared shirts?
He's probably a celebrity. I can't remember his name right now.
Colby. Yep.
Yeah, and they had some higher profile butchers that were what do you call them?
Contestants?
No, not the contestants.
The judges.
The judges, yeah. So anyway, we'll talk about all that.
Oh yeah, we're not talking about it
yet.
Yeah,
we're excited to get into all that. But real quick, we had a few things to announce.
Okay.
Pork shares. We're trying to sell some pork shares. We've got Mangalitsa's and Gloucester Old Spots that are being raised this growing season.
Yes.
So.
And these will be ready in the fall?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're growing.
We're going to have Old Spots out here on our property.
Yeah. And those have been a big hit in the past.
Doing their thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know if we're raising the ones that we're selling.
Right. Those might be for the classes.
Exactly.
Which
we're also trying to sell.
We might partner with, I think we're going to partner with Burton Hill Creamery, but that's not their name anymore.
Oh, that's right. Burton Hill Farm.
Yeah.
You can look them up right now on Burton Hill Farm.
They're on Vashon.
Yeah, they're in the middle of rebranding now.
Okay.
They've
raised beautiful porks for us before.
Yeah.
And they're just
identically
way
to how we
fed,
raised them.
so it's hugely wonderful.
Yeah.
And scratch and peck, really good feed.
Mm-hmm.
So just how we would raise them.
Yeah. In fact, they use probably more whey.
More whey, on account of the fact that they milk 30 goats or something now.
Yeah.
Not quite 30, I think. I think that's the goal. But that produces lots of whey from the cheese.
So beautiful pork shares. You can email us at community@farmsteadmeatsmith.com, and Victoria will help you reserve a share this year. We usually try to get them done before Christmas too, so you can have like a Christmas ham or sausage, things like that for your holidays.
Yeah.
The other big thing is classes.
Yeah.
We're selling those now. So we just finished up our spring classes, which would be fun to debrief about too.
Yes,
briefly.
Great.
But this fall we have a class in November and December. So.
And by a class, we mean 3 days.
Yeah.
So
3-day
serious big time class.
Yeah. So who came to our spring classes? They
were pretty awesome.
Robust. Yeah.
The first two were full, which full for our family pig class means 8. That's packed. And we don't do any more because we want to leave the hands-on experience undiluted. And when we say hands-on, we don't mean demo. We actually mean you do all the stuff. We put knives in your hands. I will shoot the pig, the pork beast, but then that's it. And I walk people through it, and they do everything else. And I think part of the magic of the class is because it's the whole process, from living pig to cutting meat on the table, to curing it, to cooking it, to eating it. It's just that holistic experience alone is enough for people to go home and realize, oh, I can actually fit all of the steps in my brain. They're not these fragmented things that happen 1,000 miles away from each other by experts who will never meet. It's actually a very simple process that you can do in your backyard. That's why we call it the family pig. Not be, well, yeah, I don't know.
There's a number of reasons why we call it that.
Yeah, I guess there is. But it's very much going back to the original context of the harvest, where it is best executed. And that is in your backyard. Small scale. Something that can be done, within the food miles from your front porch to where you're raising your pig. The whole thing happens right there. And it's awesome. They're really great. We had Lothar came from Switzerland this time.
That's right.
And we had Craig come from Maryland. We had people come from all over.
Texas.
Brazil. We had, I wish I could remember the name of their farm, but there's a wonderful Brazilian couple that are making...
Bela Fazenda.
That's it. Bela Fazenda.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll link to it.
They're making really amazing cheese in Brazil. So hard to come by around here. But they are following the same methods and the idea of culturing cheese and cheese culture that we try to follow with salami, which is very unpopular in the received knowledge of how to ferment meat and milk in the world today. They're following David Asher's method.
That's right.
The Art of Fermented Cheese, maybe, is the title of his book. But it's really cool. And it's based on the premise that the differentiation between each cheese is not in the rennet or the in different cultures that you add. None of the cheese is cultured in terms of buying store-bought cultures. It's how you care for the curd that will send the cheese into the different directions, because the raw milk itself actually contains every culture to produce every cheese that's ever been made.
That's crazy.
Which is, I mean, it's so amazing, but it's also so, like, well, yeah, mundane. Like, duh, of course.
I know.
How could it be any other way?
Right.
So anyway, they were great. They were so fun to have out.
Yeah, good family couple.
Yes. And then we had one day with, we had a strange occurrence in the history of family pig classes, which we have done hundreds of, and we've done so many now. But
dozens, at least.
Dozens, yeah. One whole class, it was full, 8, and it was all dudes.
That's right.
It's all guys, and that was a first.
Yeah, normally it's bent toward a dude.
And I would even say that's
culture.
more recent. I would say at the beginning, it was almost 50-50 exactly.
Probably.
And then as time has gone on, we've got more dudes until this last class. It was all dudes, which was a really interesting experience. It was totally different. It was fun. There was just a different vibe. And they all had a great time. They all got to spend time in Vashon town and help drunk Vashonites get home without endangering themselves and others behind the wheel. That's right. So we're grateful for their generosity in that regard. Vashon thanks them.
They really bonded, I would have to say.
Yeah,
it was
a brotherhood.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah. Guys from Oregon, Pennsylvania, I mean, all over the country.
All over the country, yeah.
Yes. There was a gentleman from the East Coast who was in touch with Joel Salatin.
Yeah, Craig.
And Mr. Salatin.
Oh, yeah, so that was so exciting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he came to the class because one Joel Salatin recommended he look us up.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
Yeah.
And then I believe Lothar came from Switzerland because he found us on Instagram.
That's right.
And what was the other one? The podcast.
The podcast.
Yeah.
Yes, a gentleman.
He was from Oregon.
Roger was, yes.
From Portland, and he liked our podcast. And
that's right. So, hi, Roger.
So you never know. We do all of these things, maintain an Instagram account, this podcast, and there's a degree in which we enjoy them, and it feels like the proper holistic way to capture peasant harvesting and put it out there. But it can't just be that, because then we couldn't do it anymore. Like, it actually needs to be effective.
They're costly. Yeah.
And it is. It got those people out here, which is pretty great.
Yeah.
That was gratifying.
Yeah, it was. Good people. I mean, that phrase, men of goodwill. You know, I mean, it's just every single one of them was authentic, seeking the true, good, and the beautiful, you know, and good people. I wish we could, you know, hang out with them more.
It was really cool, and it's that characterizes almost every class.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, it does characterize every class. I always say we get lucky every time, but I don't know if it happens every time, if you can call that luck. That doesn't make sense. It's actually like putting the classes out there. We figured out this algorithm in the social world to pull the coolest people that have a good time together. And it's not because they avoid controversial topics or they don't talk honestly to each other. It's not that at all.
Right.
It's like, I mean, at the first meal we have with them on Slaughter Day, people are going there, you know? They're talking politics and medicine and everything that divides us. Mm-hmm. But they're doing it amicably at a table together around food. And there's no problem.
It achieved the opposite of dividing them, I would say.
Exactly. Yeah. It's pretty cool to watch.
It drew them closer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm finally, after so many classes, only getting to the point where I'm not like curling my toes in my shoes when a certain topic comes up. You know, I'm like, oh no. Because it doesn't, nothing bad happens. It's no, it's actually just honest, earnest discussion.
Yeah.
And it's pretty great.
Yeah. So we were hinting at something earlier. I wanted to mention, actually, we haven't done this podcast for way too long. It's been at least a month, probably closer to two and a half months. And that's just because this is our dry season. Spring, summer is the hardest season for us. Mm-hmm. And it's costs some money, not a lot of money, but more than like excess money that we have. So
yeah.
I wanted to mention Patreon again really quick. We are really grateful for the several handfuls of patrons that we have there.
Yeah.
They it really does help. Every little bit does help. So if you're listening to this and you've missed us, if you could consider donating via Patreon, that would help us make sure we can keep these up.
Yeah.
As because we were having a system, we were on a roll, and then all of a sudden, like, things dried up. So, and we missed it. I mean, really, these are, like you said, like, people find us if we can just keep that machine going. So
keep producing them.
You know, we're gonna back off and maybe try to get to a couple a month instead of 4 a month, just until things are rolling again in the bank account. But
well, and it's tricky too, because how many people does it take to make this podcast?
Well, you and I, several hours before and after, and then 2 other people. Definitely one, you know, I don't want to say how long, but like a definite part-time job.
Yeah.
You know, to get these cranking out at the rate that we want them to. It's she edits them, she does the show notes,
uploads,
she
posts,
splices
everywhere.
Yes, and she repurposes a lot of the content so that it can get out on Instagram and the email news list and YouTube machine, you know. And then another gal who helps splice some of these, and she was doing a lot of Instagram work, you know, making sure we were posting every day, and so definitely 2 part-time jobs. Yeah, besides you and I. Well, and that's not even counting Dan. Dan, who does a lot of work for Justin Rhodes. He's big on the YouTube. He has helped us too. He has Grass-Fed Homestead. Yeah. He's kind of a YouTube, more of an expert than we are. And we employ more, not quite a full part-time position, but as a subcontractor. Definitely. He makes all the short videos, and so there's actually, and then but then you start counting like our web developer, and I mean, there's lots of people, lots of moving parts. So
yes, one does not just make a podcast.
No.
it's very interesting. This is actually the easiest and the funnest part. Right now. It's great.
It's like butchering. The cutting is actually just 10%. Yeah. But
clean up, setup. Yeah.
To make it look nice, and the sound, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, patreon.com/Meatsmith. We'd love to have your contributions. One more announcement.
Yeah.
That's a big one. To Kill a Pig Nicely is now free.
Oh, wow. Good job remembering that one. Yeah.
Well, I wrote it down, so.
Yeah, we put To Kill a Pig Nicely on the YouTube. So it's out there now. You can find it on our channel, Farmstead Meatsmith YouTube channel. And
heretofore, it's been only up for sale. It has been locked up. Behind closed doors.
On Vimeo, we put it on that archaic recording format known as DVD.
Yes.
For a while. I think we might still have like 102,000 of those.
We give them away, like free swag. No, we don't.
To use as coasters. But yeah, it's there, and it captures the slaughter of a pig.
It's really good.
It's very good, and it's out on the YouTube. So check it out.
Yeah, we're hoping that it can help grow the YouTube channel. It definitely is already gaining traction.
Yeah.
And people are able to start. We hired another person.
Yeah.
To kind of trick it out in his own YouTube way. He found us on the Vimeo. I don't know if he
Platform.
trolls the Vimeo looking for artsy food films, but he found us and he's like, hey, I can get this advertised for you. And he did. So, but he had to kind of splice it, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on the back end of YouTube channels to make it searchable, make it visible, make it so that I can make it through all the filters that YouTube has now, so that it's appropriate for most viewers.
Yeah, because it's easy for it to get flagged, particularly when the title is "To Kill a Pig."
Yeah.
Nicely.
Yes.
They forget about the nicely part. Didn't they see that nicely?
That's true. Gosh. Yeah, so he had to change it to harvest
a pig nicely.
Yeah.
Which it hurts my soul.
Yeah.
To turn the wonderful word harvest into a euphemism. Because I always use it not as a euphemism, but as a more descriptive term to include, it makes reference to the planting of the pig, the husbandry, the whole thing. And to me, it brings in the meanings also of you're plucking lots of fruit from this animal, and it's a large job, whereas the kill is actually more particular. Like, that's achieving a definitive death.
Yeah.
That's what that is. But anyway.
Yeah. Plus the etymology.
Kill is a good word. I
exactly.
Like it. It's a good old Anglo-Saxon word.
Yeah.
Kill. Those K words.
Yeah.
Knife. But it's very definitive, and it's undiluted.
Yeah.
In its meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, check it out if you can. It's a good video. And share it with people too. If you know people that would enjoy it and enjoy hearing some of our content. It comes actually as maybe the first phase or something of our attempt to grow the visual component of our YouTube content. Because we've done this here, you and I, for a while.
Yeah.
But we're getting into, very shortly to be released, some demo videos.
Yeah. Well, and it's always been... That has been the plan from the beginning, because the first thing that struck me about harvesting our animals is that it's actually not only not ugly, but it's actually, it can be beautiful, can be aesthetic. It's part of the portrait of a good life. And so from the beginning, we made Anatomy of Thrift, like literally at the beginning of our business with Andrew at farmrun.com, and those are up on YouTube also, by the way. And so it's always been the plan. It's just it's a tricky thing to pull off. One does not just make a video, It's tricky, and we're kind of just turning the gears and turning the barge and assembling a team, getting rid of a team, assembling a team.
I know.
And making videos. I am today, all morning, I've been editing a lamb butchery video, so that will be coming out on the membership soon. And it is extensive. You never know how extensive something is while you're filming it until you sit down to edit it, and then you realize just how much you put in there.
Oh my gosh.
I'm doing that right now.
It's real good, guys. I saw the first 8 minutes of it just now, and you're so artistic and gifted at, well, clearly on the butcher block.
Oh, thanks.
But it carries over to everything you touch. It's really good.
I'm seeing cross-eyed right now.
It's funny. I know, yeah. It's quirky. It's got the Andrew Plotsky-esque.
All I want to do is imitate Andrew Plotsky.
I know.
At farmrun.com.
Yeah.
If you don't know who I'm
talking
about.
Of which this hat was branded. Yep.
He made on the Anatomy of Thrift with us about 8 to 20 years ago. I can't really remember when that was. 5 to 6, 7. It took a couple years for us to roll out those 3. But he's in Vermont, growing wonderful flowers.
His wife
Rita is with Stitch Down Farm, which is the hat that I have donned, and and doing really amazing branding for small agrarian and other businesses in the Vermont
The Ruby
area
Brink.
and beyond. He branded the Ruby Brink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So films, you are editing your own films now, fast and furiously.
Yeah. It's fun. I'm waiting to find my groove.
Yeah.
I think there is a groove.
Yeah.
But there also might just be like, it's less than a groove. It's like a 4-wheel drive uphill track.
It's like a slog.
And you just do it.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be a Sisyphean uphill thing.
No. Yeah.
So, and it's not that. So, fortunately.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. But good things coming down the pike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all the little announcements I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
How many people do you know you would say truly share your back to the land values? Or your passion for home-scale craft meat curing? Or simply love the multifaceted beauty of a good meal as obsessively as you do? Maybe a handful? At farmsteadmeatsmith.com, we've created an online community of hundreds of omnivores from around the world and a platform for them to learn from and inspire one another. In addition to our major semi-annual hands-on educational event, The Family Pig, here at our Pacific Northwest homestead, over at farmsteadmeatsmith.com, we host a purely digital membership program with an archive of film and textual resources years deep now, for you to dive deeper into your food journey with. And both our classes and online program include access to our private community Facebook page for your continued education and fellowship. We've been told that our classes are life-changing and the membership program unparalleled in quality and quantity. To get a taste of our education, search farmsteadmeatsmith.com and our YouTube channel for our free films, conversations, and downloads. Explore how we and other meatsmiths across the globe may best come alongside you, putting the knife in your hand, article by article, and comment thread by comment thread, and can support you in building your home around the harvest. Please head to farmsteadmeatsmith.com today. So you went to LA,
I went to the Burbank, California.
the good old land of Los Angeles, Hollywood, and you got a piece of it. You got a taste of it.
A little bit, yeah. I actually, it was in February. Is that when I went down to film?
Either January or February. I
So
can't remember the
it
exact
was that fall spring in Seattle, in the Seattle area that we have.
That's right.
Where actually the sky was clear.
Yeah.
We get this little peak of sun in, the 8 months of dark, overcast skies. And it's this little fall spring, end of January, beginning of February, that kind of gets our hopes up. And that's when I left sun in Seattle to go down to Burbank, where it rained all 4 days that I was there.
That's so sad.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
Surprising.
Yeah.
But it was cool. It was an experience.
Yeah.
I grew up in California, actually.
Yeah.
So I was kind of excited. I kind of wanted to smell and feel the baked asphalt. That was actually a very tangible sense memory that I have that I wanted to feel again, and I didn't get it because it was wet. It was soaking the whole time.
That's right.
And it was cool enough to not have the hot, baked asphalt newly rained upon. You SoCal people know exactly what I'm talking about. That is a very particular smell, where the street is steaming.
Yes.
And we didn't have any of that, but
It was just pouring.
it was just pouring pretty much the whole time. Actually, raining harder than it does up here, because here it mists for most of the winter, fall, spring, in a robust fashion.
Yeah.
It's a strong mist. It rarely pours, but when it rains in California, it pours, and they need it sorely. And so I couldn't grudge it too much.
Yeah. It really only pours up here like a couple weekends out of the whole year.
Very rare.
Yeah. Okay, so you arrived.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
We went to, what happened? They picked me up at the airport.
Uh-huh.
And
Who picked you up at the airport?
a dude in a van. Mm-hmm. And he was from Indiana. Forgot his name. And he took me to the hotel, and the next day we were picked up and went to the studio and started filming. And the filming was a little rough for me, at least, maybe because I'm an impatient soul. But all of us were kind of feeling it. There were 3 other butchers. That was the funnest part, was just hanging out with them. And the whole time we were there, we were secluded, because part of the rules of the competition was that we couldn't see anything because it was a competition. So they didn't want us like seeing what we're going to cut, or they also just wanted to control our movements, which I totally understand. We can't just be like hanging out and being noisy when they're trying to film, whatever.
Yeah.
So we were in like this curtained off area for many, many much times, hours.
Yeah.
Just hanging out, waiting for our times to go up and film a small segment and then go back. And I was a little surprised at how much we kind of needed to be actors.
Yeah.
A little bit. That was kind of the expectation, which is rough for me. Because I don't actually display emotion ever, like in normal life. So it was a little tricky. There were definitely times when the producer's like, okay, do you think you guys could, act surprised or show a little bit of emotion?
Yeah.
Because my one reaction to everything is, oh, that's about it. That's all I got. And I can only do it once.
I know.
And that's
You're like Farmer Hoggett.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
And it's tricky because that's what that format show thrives on. So I actually was feeling for the producers a little bit. I bet they had more rambunctious, enthusiastic, hopefully, butchers for following episodes.
It looks like they did.
Because we were tired. Because it was a lot of 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. It was very, and maybe it's because it was season 1, episode 1, or maybe it's just because that is the nature of the beast. And I think it's just the nature of the beast. Filming a production is so many moving parts. It's unbelievable. I could not believe how many things they had to do. How many crew members, how many sub-units of crew members. Everyone had to be on and aligned. And, if someone forgot a lens, it's like, cut, stop everything, wait 8 minutes for him to go get this and put it back on, redo it. So there was a lot of... They wanted us to have, organic reactions to reveals of what would be cutting, or to judgments rendered by the judges, and we would, but they wouldn't be capturing them when they happen, so they couldn't be organic. They'd be like, right now the cameras are on you guys. Can you have that reaction again? And I'm like, bro, not an actor.
You hired me to butcher. Yeah.
And it's tricky because the thing about, I think, TV and film is if you don't act, you look like a doinkus. Like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. You have to act. You have to put it on in order to look natural.
Yes.
In that format.
That's right.
So.
Or just happy, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, not to look. If you're just standing there, like, no, I'm fine. It's like you look miserable. Yeah. You look like you are having the worst time in your life.
And maybe a little mad, too.
Yeah, right. That's just what you look like. So you have to be, like, giddy and enthusiastic.
Mr. 2% enthusiasm.
Yeah, I'm real low on the enthusiasm chart. So that was tricky. It was very tedious. Which allows you to build up unnecessary anticipation anxiety, to each competition.
Yeah.
Because you're just waiting for hours and...
So the back room that they showed you in, was that the real back room, or was there a deeper back room?
Oh, it was a big brick warehouse with many quick studios set up everywhere. It was very efficient. I kept telling the producers, like, you guys are amazing. I can't believe how many moving parts are being managed right now.
Yeah.
It was really... It was kind of impressive that anything got done at all, considering how many moving parts there were.
Yeah.
And how much they had to do. And I think that they were like filming and then editing at night. Filming during the day, editing. Like, it was rapid production.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So you donned an apron.
Yes, they had us wear their aprons with some chainmail, which I've never worn in my life.
Really?
Yeah, there's chainmail under the apron.
I didn't realize you had to wear that.
Yes, they had to do lots of liability stuff.
Yeah.
Can't imagine what the blacksmiths have to do on the blacksmith show.
Sure.
Because that's so much more dangerous, I think. With molten level metal and...
Yeah.
But they, they had to read us liability forms before many takes, every competition.
Jeez.
Word for word.
Huh. They had like their lawyer come out and just start reading?
That was one of the producers, I think, that was his job.
Okay.
And wow, he read every damn word. It's just like,
yeah, yeah.
He didn't, no ellipses.
Yeah.
No, etc.
Yeah.
No ... Let's move on. It was every word, and we all had to agree, and he had to look us in the eyes and like get an agreement from each one.
Oh my gosh.
It's just the nature of the beast,
Yeah, yeah.
That's
what you got to do to make things accessible to millions of people.
I guess, yeah.
Well,
and to protect themselves, if I open up my carotid artery in the middle of the competition, they're not liable.
Yeah.
Which I understand.
Yeah.
I make people sign waivers before classes here.
Yeah. But we don't enumerate the whole liability form.
That's right. Yeah.
For minutes and hours on end.
Yeah, they didn't just give it to us and say, read this and then sign it. Because they knew we wouldn't.
Yeah.
No one ever does. Or, very few do. So.
Huh. Okay, so the first competition. You want to talk about that real quick? That was,
sure.
That was, I would say, the bulk of
my participation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as showing what you do versus what we don't do generally, and how I think you were really well represented in that the first competition.
Yeah, that was fun. It was a pig. We got to butcher a pig.
Yeah, they were like, okay,
one side.
You get to butcher, dun dun dun, and then you turn around and they're like hoping you're like gonna hoop and holler, just like that's a pig.
Seen a few of those in my day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 4 pigs hanging whole, and we were to butcher one side of it. And they were judging us on the quality of our cuts, not on the quantity of our trim.
Yeah.
Which was all I can think about when I'm butchering. But
we'll start at the beginning, because at first you had to...
They wanted us to split the pig with a cleaver.
Yeah.
And that was cool. It was sort of fun. It was, it was eye candy for the camera, very much. And what else am I going to say about that? We split them with a cleaver. I split mine pretty good.
Yeah.
It wasn't that hard. It was a nice, heavy, 2-handed cleaver. That's what was cool about it. It was big. It was long. It was big. They had lots of equipment.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment just in the studio.
Yeah.
Butchery equipment, nice stuff. Like 5 manual slicers.
Jeez.
Just sitting there. Beautiful. And a huge walk-in. It's amazing. The money is amazing. I mean, of course, that it's Hollywood. It's production value.
It's History Channel.
They can get it, so they do. And I guess they ought. But we split it, and we were supposed to quarter it and cut it according to a list. And I think we had an hour. And
they didn't share that with the audience, that there was a specific list for you to follow.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
they
there
didn't
was.
make that clear.
Right. It wasn't just butcher this how you see fit. And that's the challenge of the whole thing, is you have to have a cut list. Otherwise, you don't have a standard for the contest, But for me, it's tricky because I want to cut the pig according to the standard of the physiology of the pig and what its best yield will be, which means I am reacting to the shape of the pig and thereby maximizing the yield rather than imposing my own cut list upon it. And I think I'm the only crazy person that butchers pigs that way. And I think I've kind of created this pocket for myself where it's, well, no, you could do, I used to do it in a retail setting, but that's just not the way. It's not the way it's done. Yeah. Usually your end goal is the finished cut in the deli case, and you blow through a pig, creating as much trim as you need to in order to get that. Whereas when I have done retail pork, or any animal, I have started with the yield of the animal, and we're not going to trim anything. It's my job to make it all desirable to the customer. And I know a lot of retail butchers do that too. You know, you've got sausage where you can put trim. And then for the unfamiliar stuff like beef cheeks or beef skull, you know, cow has a skull. And at least in this country, if it's under 30 months, you can get it. Pig has a head, you know, how do you sell that? And I would put that all on the retail end. Like that was my burden as the person selling it. I had to sell half a pig head to a normal person passing by at the farmer's market, which involved lots of education and lots of work. Whereas I think the standard way is just to not pick that battle, which I get it, because nothing is more exhausting than that.
Yeah.
Than doing retail and developing a significant connection with someone such that they rarely buy fresh meat anyway, and you actually want them to buy half a pig head or an 8-pound Boston shoulder roast for more money they've ever spent on meat before. And you work with them and you engage them to do that. It's crazy. It's absolutely exhausting. So I can see why that's not the pattern. But all of that to say, that's my retail experience. And that is not the standard of judgment that was going on in that particular competition. Which I get it, because it's an uncommon standard. It's a little different.
Tell us about the screaming, what's the term? They didn't tell the audience at all about the major element in that competition that from the back end kind of helped decide things.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel bad for the other butchers a little bit, because the other strange thing about the way I cut meat is I don't use a bandsaw at all. There's not one here in the shop. And I use a cleaver and a bone saw and a knife, and that's it. And so I didn't even go to the bandsaw that they had there. But the other butchers, also by virtue of the higher volume that they tend to do, they use a bandsaw every time. And the bandsaw that they had there was very nice, very huge. It was enormous. For a large, and it was utterly bedecked with safety mechanisms, which again, you know, you gotta have. You can't have somebody open up their arm. I get it, but it's actually a pretty cool mechanism that works by conductivity. So they have the same thing for wood saws, where if you are running a piece of wood across a table saw, and your flesh comes in contact with the blade, it will shoot out a pin that will stop the blade before it cuts you, which is amazing. You think, how is that even possible? But it's because your hand has a moisture content. And somehow the saw, I don't know the right terminology, but is perpetually charged. And if it creates an arc, you know, between the saw blade and your finger, it stops it instantly. And it's genius. It's beautiful. It saves the people from cutting off their fingers. Yeah. It's a real deal. It's an incredible invention. And it's more recent, and it's become very popular. And they had that on the bandsaw. Yeah. But it was very tricky on the bandsaw, because I think they had it on casters, so it wasn't grounded. So completing a circuit was a more complex thing. And you couldn't touch the bandsaw with your body at all when you used it. You had to wear a certain glove, because there was also a camera shining down to stop the saw if your hand got close to it, and it only saw the color blue, so you had to have a blue glove. It was there were so many steps to use the saw. Yeah. I didn't really pay attention because I knew I wasn't going to use it. Yeah. You know? But the other butchers did, and the safety mechanism kept hanging up on them. Yeah. You know, they're used to, in their shop, like, man, 2 minutes through a lamb. Zoop, 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 done. You know, so fast. But this thing, it stopped on them dozens and dozens of times. Just because, if you just bump it with your tummy, which you use that to slide the sliding table back and forth. So it was very, very tricky for them. And so they were significantly handicapped by that.
Did the production, the camera stop? Like, did you have to stop?
When the competition had to stop. Every time we heard the clank, the saw winding down, knifes up, cut, and they had to reset the saw, which was not a simple thing to do, because the safety mechanism ruins the saw a little bit. It ruins the blade.
Yeah.
It's not like, we just turn the saw off.
Yeah.
It's actually a clamp that pinches the blade. Yeah. And so the blades would deteriorate. They had to replace the blades. So that was that was the drama that we were experiencing as contestants, utterly not in the final cut, right? At all.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you would show that drama, but that was the primary conflict of the contest. In my mind, was the saw challenge of that. One
of the contestants, Joey, I think his name was, the elder guy, he from the South, I think. He has a retail butcher shop. He mentioned, Brandon, did you use the saw at all? Yeah. And you're like, no. And then it actually shows him using his own handsaw.
Oh, yeah.
Which
he did not intend to use that.
No, it kind of made him look
right.
Just too
not so good.
Yeah, it didn't look right. And he wouldn't have had he not had the trouble with that bandsaw. Yeah, but none of that came through.
He was forced to that because the saw wasn't working for him.
Yeah. Poor guy.
Yeah, so anyway.
Yeah, a lot. But did you say they were like $100,000 pieces of equipment and there were two of them?
Yes. I hope we're allowed to talk about all this. I don't know. It's after the fact.
Oh, babe. I don't... I think it's okay.
Okay. Yeah, they were...
Yeah.
They were very expensive saws. And they had two in case one.
It's just, it blows our mind. It's just, it's absolutely out of our league that it just...
Yeah.
Wow, I can't believe that money, and that's just used. I wonder what they do with it afterward, after they've shot.
I don't know. All of that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, what else out of that competition? They didn't even show the back leg. They didn't show anyone cutting.
Well, I don't think any of us got to it.
I guess they showed ham steaks.
I did a little. Oh, yeah, they wanted ham steaks.
Yeah. They're not really your favorite.
I don't like ham steaks. Yeah.
There's a couple things.
I like ham.
Yeah, right. There was a few things that you were made to do that, you know how to do. But
so that's my problem, is I have an essential arrogance, shall we say. And if I don't believe in a cut, out of spite, I won't do it. Well, I don't know. It's not good. I got to work on that. But there were a couple cuts, and I was just like, this is silly. Put that out there. I don't believe in this cut. I'd never do this.
Well, that was the one that you got nicked for was butterflied chops.
Butterflied chops.
Yeah, I asked you.
So silly.
It's like, so what's up with that? Why did you put the skin down or something? And you were like, butterfly chops are stupid.
It was a protest. But I don't like retail trickery. I like really good crafted retail stuff.
Yeah.
And to my mind, the end of that is to make something suggest the way it ought to be cooked to the person that purchases it.
Yeah.
And to make it effortless for the person to cook it properly.
Yeah.
That's what I think. But if it's gimmicky, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Like a butterfly chop, to me, is a little silly. And I messed it up. I went the wrong way.
Yeah, you cut it.
Because I don't.
The skin opens in rather than out.
Right, yeah.
So, why don't you like butterfly chops?
I don't know. What is my problem? It's because it's just a thin pork steak that's wide. You can cook it quicker. You could do it at home to a boneless pork chop that you buy, which isn't even a thing, to a boneless loin steak, So it's just not something that I see necessary for a butcher to do.
Yeah.
At all, because it's a boneless thing. It's like you just do that. And I guess the advantage of it is that it would cook quicker because it's thinner.
Right.
And my general approach is I like to keep anything coming from the loin very thick.
Yeah.
So as to avoid the overcookery thereof.
Right.
Because that is the easiest thing to do. That lean meat cooks quick, and you don't want to cook it to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, lest it be dry and chalky.
In the middle, right.
So I like to keep them thick anyway.
Yeah.
And so in the heat of a competition, my pride takes over. Rather than like my competition sense, which would be, well, let's just actually compete and try to do a good job. I'm like, protest. I don't know. It's weird.
No, it's a cookery issue. I think that's really fair. That's always been your number one priority. How is this going to cook and taste? And ultimately, a thicker pork chop that is nice and crispy on the outside and tender and a little bit juicy on the inside. And you can do that when they're 1.5 inches to 2 inches thick.
Yeah.
You can't achieve that when they're thin.
You could. It's just a flash fry. Like, it wouldn't even be browned on the outside by the time it's done on the inside.
Yeah.
I think. It might be my subjective judgment, but it's also objective reality. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like to cook things.
I liked how you had some teaching moments in that competition. And, and I think that I was really glad that the editing team kept the 3, I noted 3 teaching moments where you told people how to quarter an animal. Every animal can be quartered right here, and then you show it. And
we each had a camera guy following us.
Yeah.
Dangerously close.
Yeah.
To flying knives and saws.
Yeah.
But they did great. They were just like right there.
Yeah.
Really expensive camera, like right next to my elbow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they caught, and they wanted us to jabber. And to me, that just means I'm going to say the things I always say when I cut a pig. Yeah. Talk about how to do it.
You mentioned bacon. Keep cutting away the spare ribs from the bacon to maximize the belly fat for your bacon, and then scoring the skin on one of the roasts. You mentioned that. I don't know. I was just glad that came through, because that's sort of the whole reason why we thought it would be good for you to invest a week away to do this. Yeah. So that hopefully we could attract some new audience members and see you in your element.
I was also not going to be opposed to winning $10,000.
Well, yeah.
That would have been kind of nice.
Yeah. But you weren't going to do that and compromise your approach.
I guess not.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's you, like you just said, like you could have competed.
Well, it's also, I don't know how much of it was like my choice.
Yeah. It's hard in the moment too.
My value system with butchery has sunk so deep into my soul that it's also become my biases, my prejudice. It's like unexamined. I just do it the way I always done. And then if I think about it, that's why I did it that way. Because I have this particular principle. But,
I don't want you to do yourself an injustice. I thought you did really well.
Yeah, it was fun. I was bummed that they didn't show the French rib rack, because mine was stupid beautiful. It was so good. And it was under a time constraint, which it's not easy to quickly French a whole rack of ribs. Mine was real nice.
Yeah. I know there were some elements that they just couldn't show, partly because the producers, they're not butchers. They don't have the mindset. Much less, they don't have the mindset of a butcher, much less the mindset of your style of butchering, which is very different than most other butchers.
Oh, yeah, I think, I really noticed that, especially in the competition, because a lot of the, the finish line was, how to win, was usually to maximize retail value, which I get it. That is a particular skill, and it involves, like we've always said, crafting a lot of things to fit the commodity form, which means to represent to the customer something that is just imminently purchasable. And that doesn't always accord with the proper yield and usage of the whole beast. And so I just forgot how much that taints the whole process. If you're going to maximize retail put a piece of twine on it. It's like, that's That's kind of shallow. Like
Yeah.
for me, I really like to put more power in the consumer's hands to decide where they want to twine, how much fat they want on their cut. And it's like, well, they don't know, you know, they like the lean stuff. Well, it's like, should they? Can we talk about that? Can we
Yeah.
can we show them what they're missing out on a little bit?
Yeah.
And I'd rather go that route. And so I really felt that when I was looking, just butchering to a list alone is weird to me. I look at it like, oh, not everything's on here. What about the sirloin? What about the rest of it? What do we do with the trotters? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
What about the head? I can't just not do that.
Yeah.
You know? It just doesn't include things. Which I guess, you know, you put into the sausage, but I still like to have that reference point to the physiology of the animal, what it is rendering to you. I feel like that is a higher, it puts butchery into a higher level of craft when you're trying to hold in both hands simultaneously, not wasting anything, and wanting the finished cuts to reflect the original shape of the animal in some way, and creating something that someone wants to buy. And those, like when you're trying to bring those things together, that struggle is where the art comes out. And that's really, without compromising either one,
Yes.
without sacrificing one to the other. That's really pulling the best out of a craftsman, I think. And,
Golden mean, one would say.
Right. And that is something that guides every animal that I butcher. And it's the struggles. It's exactly the conflicts, like that fatty, flanky fat right at the end of the belly, right where it connects to the leg on a pig. What do you do with that stuff?
Yeah.
It's not so great in the grinder, you know? It's laced with lots of stretchy, tough collagen, so it doesn't get chopped. It ends up greasy in the sausage rather than chunky. It doesn't make a great bacon slice.
Yeah.
It's just solid fat with a little bit of a flank on it. So what do you do with that? You know, am I just... You got to figure out that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How do you sell it?
Yeah.
Without just tossing it.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's lots of things. Rillette is a good idea. You could cure it with the bacon and try to educate people on how to use bacon ends.
Right.
Or what I like to call speckpatter.
Oh, yes.
That's a whole nother story. Just the gleanings off of the cured smoked slab of bacon, you know, because not everything is an ideal slice of bacon for breakfast. There's lots of meat and fat, mostly fat, on the belly that doesn't find its way into a perfect breakfast slice. Got to trim it off. So what do you do with that stuff? You know, and that's why we have the Meatsmith membership and everything, is to put that in your pot with your braised beef, or to make rillette from it.
Yeah.
The gleanings, to elevate the things that are ingloriously discarded so often.
This conversation will be continued in a forthcoming Part 2 episode. Thanks for listening, and peace be with you.